Now we are going to talk about certain areas which not only become very important from a current perspective, but also as the country moves towards faster adoption of digitization across the BFSI segment. This becomes the point of discussion practically in every boardroom, in every technology strategy decision. And I'm so happy to see that some of the senior leaders representing their areas of work in the room today with us, and representing, in fact, 2 small finance banks, 1 general insurance company, 1 NBFC, and 2 very fast-moving fintechs. Now, we have such a esoteric group here, which practically will help us cover almost all aspects of technology adoption as well as the move forward. Now, there is something which is at the top of our mind, which is basically about how we are moving forward in the world of adoption post-COVID. Now, we understand that a lot of innovation is happening. COVID has actually brought in all of those things in our mind. While BFSI has always played the role of adopting technology and has been, the fast-forward mover in that game. But when we talk about innovation and integration across the different aspects of technology, there are various things which, from a different, I would say, strategy perspective, actually comes to our mind. Now, if I look at a small finance bank vis-a-vis a pure play NBFC, or even how our fintech partners are going to support it, I'm sure there are going to be different views about it. So let me start the session. Vaidya, I will first come to you. Now, you have seen it all practically. I would say, being part of a very large bank's tech start team, you have been, one of the founding members there, to now leading Unity SFB, which you call the youngest SFB right now. I'm sure that you have seen the entire journey. From your perspective, where do you think this entire journey of innovation post the pandemic and the immediate adoption across the scheme of things is taking us forward? What would be your strategy on this?
Thank you. As you rightly said, I have been a part of a couple of starting banks, and if I were to compare my stint with HDFC Bank as a part of the initial startup team, if I were to look now, it was actually a breeze. Today, starting a bank for a CEO or a CIO is a nightmare. And you add the mess of acquiring an existing sick bank, which was in a suspended state for 2.5 years, a late entrance in the game, where the market is already full, and every technology innovation is being thrown at the customer. So starting bank now today from a technology perspective is absolutely mind-blowing task. I mean, having said that, it's interesting because I come from a consulting background. Wherever there is a mess, there is an opportunity to do something more interesting. And the technology factors, there are 3 areas where the technology basically comes up. Gone are the days when technology was a EDP, electronic data processing, and a backroom office, and we should be called. Nowadays, we have the prime seat in the boardroom. A CIO's word is taken very seriously, taken for granted. And because everything moves on technology. Let me tell you a small thing. I have a house which has 3 floors in my house. If I have to call my daughter or my son, I have to switch off the Wi-Fi. So technology is so prevalent. Even in the office, if I have to switch off the Wi-Fi or there's a problem for some time, there's a hullabaloo out there everywhere. So mail is down for 10 minutes, then the whole thing comes crashing down. So basically technology or digital adoption is driven on 3 factors. One is the user, which is my bank user internal. They come with requirements based on peer pressure or market demands and all that. The end user, who's the customer king, he wants a lot of things which happens, And third is technology per se, newer innovations which keep coming into the market. As I speak, I was part of a forum there when I was looking at it. They were selling a ring. I'm actually wearing the ring. It's a payment ring. So I don't have to carry my phone, I have to carry my wallet or anything, just tap and pay. So everything starts as somebody's daydream, be it a user, be it a technologist, or even the end customer. So it is, and from a technology perspective, one is the servicing the end customer. To service the end customer, I need to have my engines in the back room very tightly done so that I'm able to do that. So some of these back-end stuff has improved. The adoption rate of technology has also leapfrogged a lot. From the time a new innovation comes to the market to the time it gets adopted, starts using, it's very fast. So one of the advantage today I have as a CIO of a new bank is a guy who's going to buy iPhone in coming September, when iPhone 15 comes in, he will have the latest phone. The guy who bought it last year will not be able to upgrade because it cost you a lot. So that's the one advantage. I can look at it think differently. One of the things which we have done is it was part necessity, part compulsion. So we changed our back office core banking system. So which people thought it was madness. We completely replaced an existing huge system, and we have gone into a SaaS model, and we replaced from starting to end in just flat 88 days, which has never been done anywhere in the world. So, technology is so fast, and so adoption of technology is very, very critical.
Excellent points, Vaidya, to start with. Let me quickly come to you, Dipu. Now, you represent a breed of insurers who has been on the forefront of adopting latest technologies, including AI, ML. We have been reading a lot about the DigiSwasth initiative that you have taken forward. What would be your strategies from an insurer's perspective regarding innovation and adoption?
Thank you, Ayan, and good afternoon, everyone. I'll keep it crisp because I know you all are waiting for lunch. When we look at innovation, I think the clear opportunity comes in where you find maximum customer friction. That's an area where there's a customer need, and that's where you swing in. And I think it's best explained with the help of examples. So let's look at telematics. Telematics is a product which we launch in motor insurance, where you can place a device in your car and then you get data. You start to get diagnostics in terms of your driving behavior, which helps you have an informed conversation with your insurer later on. Now, why you do this, to give the customer data, but you can also bring in some new experiences. So we launched a feature called geofencing, which is that, let's say there's a working couple, and the driver drops them to office and the kids to school. And in the afternoon, they're in office and he has to pick up the kids back. Now, should he go on a different route, because they're obviously worried about child safety, they get a digital alert. Now, this is not possible without placing the device in the car. And this experience could not have been given earlier. Now, when you bring in such experiences, adoption naturally happens. The other thing which we need to take cognizance of in the Indian context is a lot of digital adoptions, a lot of digital innovations happen in India. So we launched an app, for farmers, which was purely in Indian languages. And they could use this app to get notifications of the weather. They could interact with the government's portal. They could interact with us. And through sheer word of mouth, adoption picked up. So I think if you can identify the right customer need and also speak to the customer in his or her language, scale adoption automatically happens.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I'll quickly move to the next guest that we have again from a small finance bank. Swami, we will have to now make do without technology. So this is still up. I don't think it's working now. You have been doing fairly well in your area, and your focus has been. I don't know whether this is up and running now. So you have been doing very good, especially the MSME part of it, and the last year has been phenomenal. I understand that your entire loan portfolio has grown by leaps and bounds. You also have taken the step forward to digitizing a lot of your areas of work. Typically the e-signature part of it. What would be your strategy going forward from this point of time, Swami?
See, first of all, we banks in this new age bank, we are small finance bank, but still we are scheduled banks only. And when we work with multiple parties like business correspondents, DSAs, etc., we need to have such technologies which the other people who are coming towards us to collaborate, right? A fintech which is very agile and nimble, they come and collaborate with us, right? So I cannot be a very old engine which really takes so much time to work. So what we did was, in terms of especially on the digital lending part, which Ayan was talking about, we clearly articulated and split it into 4 different pieces: the origination part, the underwriting piece, and the loan management part. And apart from that, collection and distribution, which are the 4 main pillars on which these digital lending happens. Apart from that, you are looking at the way that you have been working very long with the business correspondents, and that's going to be the future. So tomorrow's world, I think Swiggy and Zomato may be for the banks as such. So with this type of thing happening, we have collaborated with fintechs. We have collaborated with companies that provide such authentic services, which we can rely either for underwriting or for stamping, signing, etc. Skyrocketed. That has really skyrocketed the lending piece. And one more specific point I want to really highlight is that as long as you are removing the operational frictions by using technology, the customer experience automatically shoots up. The customer satisfaction, or whatever you call it as NPS, any score you can call. But the point is, the customer satisfaction improves, then automatically your product gets very well accepted at even a rural customer or tier 5, 6 type of customers who are gullible otherwise, but with technology you provide everything. See, today's world we have the sound box in most of the UPIs, social engineering that they have overcome. So technology definitely has helped, and that's the reason like banks like us are scoring more in terms of collaboration with DSAs, BCs, BFs, business facilitators. Not only that, we nowadays collaborate more with insurance partners, okay, and banker partners who really give customers. And one recent finding came up telling that if the CIBIL score is 600 and above, those people will definitely take insurance. So what else do you require? I think this is a piece that you can take home also.
Excellent views,
Thank
Swami.
you.
Thank you so much.
So just would like to add,
Yes, Prabhat,
see,
yes.
banking and finance works under a lot of regulations, right? Even they would like to innovate, they have to go through the, lot of compliances, the data protections, everything. But my always thought is that these banking and financial, which contributes almost 40 to 50% of the Indian GDP and the growth and everything, they should keep track of the consumers. When I say consumer, that means how consumer are adapting the technology. How they are adapting social media, how they are adapting where they are, what exactly they are doing it. For example, the UPI innovation which had happened, which is one of the best things which happened in India, but how they can use it in their favor, following the compliances. So those things, if you, as a banking and finance, they adapt the new technology, keeping compliance in mind and always tracking the consumers, how they are behaving, what kind of trend they are chasing, and then getting the best use case out of it will make them grow very fast.
Excellent add-on point, Prabhat. And I believe that for the BFSI segment, compliance and technology is a marriage made in heaven. I mean, you can't get away from either. Coming back to Vitthal. Vitthal, you have been heading the technology for one of the new age NBFCs, and the entire space has been, very vibrant. What has been your outlook towards integration of so many different technologies which is available to you now?
Thank you, Ayan. Very, very good question, actually. We started our operation 5 years back. It's a Profectus Capital. My company name is Profectus Capital. We do SME lending, right? And to the point, right? We call ourselves a traditional business. Though we born into a fintech era, right? We call ourselves traditional business because we want to use technology to do actually, the business in a right manner. And I totally agree with what sir said, right? Ultimately, the transaction experience, the innovation is about transaction experience. And if you can provide that, right? You have the customer stickiness, you can grow your business, all that is fall into place, right? And other aspect of the current era is you don't really need to reinvent the wheels, right? There are so many innovations already available in the market. So when we started our operations, right? 5 years back, one of the big 5 consultancy company had given us a budget to set up the entire organization. We are funded by UK PE called Actis, right? That way the capital and all that, we didn't have any problem, or we don't have any problem. So one of the big 5 had given us a kind of a roadmap on technology, right? And obviously turns into, goes into millions or so, right? And we were kind of surprised with that approach, because you don't really need to build the solution on your own. I'm talking from a user perspective, right? And in a matter, and we kind of put aside that plan. We went ahead with our kind of plan, and we set up the entire technology platform in flat 3 months. We were in operations in 3 months with 5-6 products what we have, right? Born into cloud, tie up with fintech partners. All you need basically is a good middleware, solid middleware, and a solid backend system, a transaction system. Whatever innovations are happening on the interaction side, right, customer interaction side, you can actually plug and play, right? So with that, we got a customer onboarding system. We use a lot of credit analytics, obviously crunching the data originating from bureaus, banks, financial statements, GST, right? All that, I think fintech partners can help you to crunch the data and get the insight, right? So that one piece is a big piece, and you are actually kind of value add there is how you kind of design your credit models, right? Other big piece is the customer experience and onboarding side of it, right? Where you can actually use innovations, right? Where how do you actually, and we are in the SME segment where we have to collect a lot of documents from customer. We have to look at the collateral, we have to visit the factory, we have to meet the promoters and all that, right? So how do you make that interaction easier from a customer perspective, right? Gathering document digitally, whether the document comes through a channel like WhatsApp, right? Can it get tagged automatically based on some AI ML logic, right? And then the RM who is working on it doesn't need to tag that document, right? Can you kind of do OCR on some of the documents, automatically get that data, right? Those are the innovations, right? And then it helps you to crunch down the entire end-to-end TAT of customer onboarding, right? From maybe a week to a few hours, right? And in our case, we can give in principle approval on SME loan if all the documents are in kind of place, right? In matter of hours. That's the kind of innovation. So my point here is, you don't really think innovation as innovation, right? You look at the customer journey from leads to whatever the exit or the disbursement, and figure out in that journey, where is my problem? The problem definition is the key thing here, actually. If you identify your problem, you'll find the solution. That's my take on it. Yeah.
Excellent point, Vitthal, because I could see a lot of people nodding their heads, and I am believing that, whatever points you just mentioned is a common pain area, or rather, the points for optimizing our common journeys. Coming back to our last fintech partner, so BUSINESSNEXT. Now, initially when I first heard of BUSINESSNEXT, I was wondering which entity is this, till I realized that they have simply moved from C to B. So it was CRM Next, Suneel, if I'm not wrong, and now you have been sort of reborn as BUSINESSNEXT, and you have been doing a wonderful work in areas of autonomous banking and stuff like that. What would be your initial thoughts, Suneel? How does a fintech actually come in here and sort of help the entire BFSI industry take the tech journey forward?
Thank you, Ayan. Good afternoon, everyone. I know everyone is itching to go for lunch, including me, but I'll try to keep it short and crisp. It's such a vast topic. I think we can debate for the entire day, and still, there'll be a lot to be covered. I think on the being on the fintech side, got an opportunity to work with multiple banks, finance companies, insurance companies, and it has been a great learning experience. And I think one of the things, how do we look at it? I think the last decade has been a decade of rapid change. A lot of tech advancement has happened, and we know tech is a vehicle which is used to deliver innovation. And I think it's very important today, especially for BFSI segment, which is facing a big challenge. The customers have become tech savvy. They are tech savvy, and they are across the board. They have been exposed to experience like Amazon. They have they know how to book tickets online for air tickets, hotels, getting the best possible deals. So they have been pampered a lot, and that is what they expect from their banks also. Instant fulfillment of their requirements, and which can be simple ones, complex ones. And without going a deep dive into, especially nitty-gritties of business, I think world is moving from a product-centric design to a customer-centric design. I think that is one of the biggest fallout of this tech innovation which has happened, tech bust, which has taken everyone by storm. So, in our same business, it's easy to copy your products using tech. You can launch a business, and very soon you will be up and running. But where's the differentiation? It's all about customer experience, how you redefine your customer experience. Now, I'll take banking as an example. It will act as for other segments also. Taking as a bank, Murli sir, it's a business where you take money from a borrower, take money from somebody who wants to deposit money, keep it safely, and then lend it at a slightly higher cost so you can make some margin. That's a traditional definition of a bank. But now banking has evolved. So one thing is, very quickly, when you want to start, I think the difference you can make is in how you acquire your customers, how you serve your customers. That is very important. And on the acquisition side, the strategy has to be crystal clear, depending on the segment. Again, you have to segregate new to bank and existing to bank, because existing to bank is somebody who's going to increase your cross-sell ratios and add to the bottom line in a different manner. So you have to use you have to gather data, whatever you collect through the customer behavior on your mobile app and then you move to data-driven insights and get more out of the customer. That is one. Understand their expectations. And when the same customer, now world is moving digital, do it yourself. But the branches are going to be there, the brick and mortar. But can you identify a customer when they walk into the branch? What kind of behavior they are expecting. Can the customer just come, there is a kiosk, you punch in, maybe authenticate even with the biometric, I'm just going overboard, authenticate and this is a category, he will be going to queue counter number 8. We can have a different way of serving the same customer. I think that is one important learning. Number 2, on acquisition, you have to continue to build intelligence. People say, I know I've been dealing with a lot of public sector banks also, and there's a lot of pressure from Ministry of Finance under EASE guidelines. They have to keep on improving their score, which is the digital score essentially, to make it life easy for banks and customers. So now second aspect of customer experience, it's not only customer experience, it's a total experience. Your employee experience, your partner experience, unless you stitch that together correctly, you're not going to get it right. You're not able to going to create a differentiation. So very, very important, I think, this aspect. And when you do, customers want to, as I said, I was giving example of Amazon-like experience. They want to open the accounts directly. So a lot of banks, a lot of innovation has happened. But what about broken experiences? Now every journey, especially on the lending, when you have to make sure your money has to come back, you have to have your credit policy running. How do you do it? Everything can't be done digitally in certain category of products. So how do you automate? I think that is very important. So very important for a bank is they don't get muddled in too many systems. I think they don't get into a situation while they're running, they keep on adding point solution. They invest in a good change-ready platform which can integrate easily with the evolving fintech space, because whatever fintech is evolved, it will continue. It's not going to stop here. It's a storm. We have just seen the trailer, I think. It's going to, take us in a big way. Yeah. Thank you.
Great opening remarks, Suneel. I think what we understand here is that more things change, more things remain the same. So basic tenets of the financial industry and how they move forward has not really changed. It's all to do with how you manage the psyche of your customer. I'll quickly come back to you, Vaidhi. You have practically done this entire journey, for the last couple of decades, managing startups, managing technologies for larger banks, and now, of course, in your current role, there are so many technology choices. A lot of them are also emerging over the horizon. What do you think would be the right technology, or what do you think would be the most anticipated and exciting technology to look forward to from the BFSI perspective?
See, while I know I'm a good technologist, I'm a bad customer for the bank, because I keep demanding things which banking thinks is impossible. So everything is customer centric now. Customer is the center of everything, and everything is driven by his demand. The bank, customer doesn't come to the bank has to reach to the customer. And the banking resides on his phone or on his laptop or on a desktop. You cannot, the loyalty of a customer is gone now, and his loyalty is which bank gives you. I do that. As a customer, if online I'll check which one gives me the highest FD rates, I'll transfer the money within a fraction of a second from IMPS, done. My loyalty is gone. So, there are exciting technologies, but the thing is, the technology has to be such that, from the adoption rate of technologies. So, see, one of the pet peeves that I have, I was a part of a pilot project with Citibank in Singapore, where I kept cribbing that, why should I carry credit cards in my pocket? It's a waste of, it can be stolen and all that. So I was part of a project where they gave me a biometric device. The credit card was linked to my thumb, and I just put in my thumb and put my numbers, and the payment was done. So 1 year I was going around without anything except my finger. And suddenly, for strange reasons, that was withdrawn. And that's a fantastic technology. And as I speak, I'm actually wearing a wearable ring, which I just tap and pay and go. And so the ease of use for a customer to do banking. For example, a customer doesn't want to fill a form. I don't want to fill a form, to the extent that I don't even want to sign. If I can dictate the form, I'll dictate it. If I can ask, a speech thing, those are new things. So anything and everything that makes life simpler for the customer or the end user is, there are so many technology, wearables and, AI and all that. End of the day, if the, screen change takes more than 15 seconds or something, you had it. So I say it has to be completely customer centric.
I believe the audience heard it from one of the technology gurus here. Quickly moving on to you, Dipu. You have been, sort of leading from the forefront an organization which is adopting more and more new technology. Now, for a change of this kind, it is very important to foster an environment that actually helps you to sort of grow this mindset of change. How has been your journey? What has been your secret sauce for this?
So that's a very relevant question because, much as we see many innovations which are market facing or customer facing, what happens behind the scenes, I think that's why it's important to get that peak. See, the first thing which we need to understand, and we've all heard that cliche, right? Culture eats, strategy for breakfast. So, how do you drive that? So I'll give you one example. There was an automobile manufacturer, a very renowned brand. So once, they had to design a new car. Now, normally you will go with specifications, customer data, research, all of that. They said, this time we'll not do anything. We just gave them 2 words. And the 2 words were, have fun. And the team came back with, a fantastic car. So I think the first thing which we need to understand when we drive this is to move away from, what we normally do, right? KPIs, KRAs, design thinking, so on and so forth, right? All that we do, right? We just have to let, that culture of, experimenting, and being free to think, prevail. So that drives openness to change and openness to innovate. Now, 2 dimensions here are important, and then I'll close my answer. One is you have to over-communicate. So the default standard is not communicate, but over-communicate. Everybody needs to know that, this happens. Otherwise, over a period of time, when the tone at the top finds its way in terms of the echo at the bottom, you will find a lot of dilution, right? You need to over-communicate that this is what we look for. It's not about BAU, but we need to drive change. Then you find everybody, being part of it. So I think that's very important. The second aspect is, today, when we look at driving change or driving innovation, we all have heard about thinking beyond the box, and that's where digital assets help. So, for example, if you look at your bot, or if you look at your mobile app, or if you look at any digital asset, you are forced to look beyond your industry boundaries because customers do not compare your asset with the best that they have seen in your industry. They compare it with the best that they have seen across industries. So, a customer who's using, let's say, an insurance company's app, he's not going to have, buckets in his mind, that this is the best insurance app, this is the best, ride aggregator app, this is the best e-commerce app. He's going to pick the best one. So that forces you to, think beyond your boundaries. And if you're constantly on the lookout, if you're on the lookout for benchmarking, if you're on the lookout for ideas, it anyway brings that culture in. So I think these 2-3 aspects, to our mind, become very important elements of creating that culture and a permanent one.
Super thoughts, Dipu. Yes, please.
See, thinking beyond boundaries, and I was talking about 2 words and cars. While my job is technology and I'm passionate about technologies, my passion is cars and architecture. One of the things which I have recently started using is not 2 words but 3 words. It's what 3 words, and the whole address is in the world. 3 square meter is just 3 words. So the incident was, my chairman had gone to Stanford for a 20-day course, and he was trying to get a card to his place, and his professor was standing, and he said, I can get the card here where I'm standing by using just the what 3 words. Download the app, what 3 words, and 3 square meter has a different address to it. So there's no full address in my card, so there's just 3 words to it. So technology, everything starts as somebody's daydream, and like I said, adoption rate of technology is so fast. It can come to you in a matter of quarter or 6 months.
Great points. Quickly moving on to Swami. Now we are all spoiled for choices as far as technology goes, in all walks of our businesses and operations. But along with that, we also face the risks of different, varied nature of technology and how we are adopting it. How do you think we should be navigating around these risks?
Actually, when you come to risk per se, okay, risk mitigation. So let me give you a Lamborghini or a Ferrari car which can go at 200 kilometer speed, okay, and give the key to you to accelerate. But I say that it doesn't have any brake. Will you drive? So you will not drive, you will not even touch the vehicle, sit on the driver's seat. Okay, so risk is one thing which we will have to definitely identify. If some cow comes in between, or what happens if a pedestrian cross, is there a mechanism by which I can really control my device? So this risk is one thing, always people be aware. It's not only technology risk are many more, because these days what happens is that social engineering is one thing which whatever systems you build, whatever, I think definitely risk people will have more points to say. The point is, it really, when you make systems, you first think that how this can go wayward or haywire, how I really control the system, how this is possible, etc. Okay, while I say this, Dipu touched upon a point, but this is my ambition, Dipu, because I also had third-party products for the bank. I used to say that we pay premium on, especially this car automobile premium, for a year, annual premium. So why I should pay annual premium? Rather, I will pay premium on the kilometers run. If my car is in the garage, then I don't have to pay anything.
That product is already there in the market.
So this way, this I'm telling you, this I've been talking about much before. But the point is, one or few companies, I do not know how many have in this hall, know about it. I think that is also again communication which he was talking about. It has to be properly communicated to the ground. And coming back to the risk point, one more final point I will add on the risk perception. Risk will always be there. Still, we will have to do what job that we have to do. If we stop doing just fearing risk, nothing can happen in this world.
Great. Thank you, Swami. Vitthal, there is now the era of getting a lot of things done by default, because we have great support from our regulators and policymakers, something which possibly is new to the industry. I understand that Profectus has just got the nod for the factoring business as well. Do you think that anything more can be requested from the policymakers around the adoption of technology and innovation?
So I think this kind of relate to my first point also, right? When it comes to innovations, right, our regulators are most actually forward-looking in the world, right? The kind of things we have, the kind of digital public infrastructure what we have built, right? I mean, that's unparalleled, right? I think the key there is actually how do we integrate that seamlessly within your application and reducing those friction points and also managing the customer consent. I think that's where things get complicated, right? If you kind of address those, I don't think a regulator can actually help more in this, right? And the regulator has done a lot from actually inviting participation from the fintechs and all that, right? Building the solution together. The kind of regulatory sandbox, what they propose in 19, right? And the progress has happened over period of time by inviting multiple cohorts to build solution together. I think that has really helped, right? So I don't really see much challenge there actually. The challenge is how do you actually use that technology or use those innovation in your ecosystem, right? One point I would just want to add, right? I mean, and this kind of repeated multiple times here, so many technologies are available, so many innovations are available, right? The culture in the organization is really important actually, where individual think from a problem identification perspective, problem identification and solution perspective, and then that's when the things come together. And to your risk point, right? You don't need to build something big and then worry about the risk. You can always build things incrementally. That's option you have, right? So why not actually build things, try things, figure out how things are working. So, but that culture is important, right? Ideation and that entrepreneurship kind of culture, right? That's important in the organization. Yeah.
Thank you, Vitthal. Thank you so much. Over to the fintech twins. Prabhat, the last query to both of you. First, I'll come to you, Prabhat. Is in this complex landscape where we are dealing with a lot of data, especially in your case, for example, you are doing great job in hyper personalization areas, right? With some of the insurers as well. You are looking into the videos, the texts, the different omni-channel areas of hyper-personalization. How do you navigate from a fintech perspective, the data security and the complexity around this?
Thank you. Let me explain. First, Mr. Murli, who is a South Indian, who has transformed the entire, South Indian bank and make it profitable. He talked about two things. One is the customer, another is compliance, right? Apart from the six C's, right? In between, what is important is the customer trust. Okay, how do you create customer trust? The number one is that your data is safe with the customer. Their data is safe when they deal with you, number one. Number two, but at the same time, you are gathering a lot of data from the consumer, which includes sensitive information also. And you do a lot of data, mining and figure it out what exactly offer I should give them, what kind of behavior he has, whether it's a transactional behavior or his demographic behavior, and then you start offering it. So, data security becomes very, very important for the consumer when they deal with the fintech companies. I'm talking about in general BFSI customers, but they have the most important data. Now, but the problem is they cannot innovate all the time and keep the data. So that means they have to deal with third party. And especially when you talk about innovation, because innovation comes from outside, sometimes inside. So the relationship between the vendor who is providing the innovation and also the banking and finance, both has to work very closely. And that is only possible when you keep control of the data, but entire application is, or logic is always with the vendor. So the time more and more control you keep, you can create better environment. That's and the number three is when we talk about personalization, right? So personalization is all about data, right? When we talk about data, this data, is so important, and especially now the new DPDP bills which are coming. So in our platform, what we take care is that we are all compliance, which is RBI guidelines, which is a SOC 2 compliance to ISO 27000 compliance, how we are storing data. We have a chief risk officer also, just a small startup, but still we are keeping those, we understand data is so important.
Excellent point. Finally, Suneel, up to you now to sort of give a view to the entire areas, because you are working in different areas. I understand, from the front end UI UX to the local part of it. You are doing a lot of work even in deep technology, for example, workflows, business decision engines, rule engines.
Right.
You deal with a lot of enterprise data and that to customer data. What would be your view? How do you navigate the complexity around this?
Okay. So to answer your question, we at BUSINESSNEXT are providing a fintech platform to our customers, and we do provide multiple deployment options, which include the traditional on-premise model also deployment, which is still being used by a lot of banking customers. Plus, we are also doing cloud deployments. But we are one of the unique players when we offer a cloud deployment. We are cloud agnostic. We give a pure SaaS offering where our end-to-end ownership is as a cloud service provider. At backend, we have tie-ups with MATI approved CSP partners like AWS and GCP, the best of the breed. Number two is when our client wants a cloud deployment, but where they are ready to take a direct ownership, we certainly recommend them to go for a MATI approved cloud partner. And also, especially in a highly regulated banking industry where there's a lot of customer data is there. I think while RBI is always open to cloud, but they don't give clear answer to certain queries. I don't know whether it's the right forum to talk about it or not. But yeah, so banks, large companies are going for landing zone approach where they take ownership for data ingress and outgress. And of course, you have to continuously to invest in tools. And we as a fintech provider have to continuously to address the vulnerabilities and continuously to improve our application on data security side. And I think that's the crux of any application when you are improving customer experience. First you look at expectation, then you design your solution, the tech platform in such a way it it caters to the security requirements as well as the regulatory compliance. I think that's the essence of, apart from the scalability and other needs. Anyway, those are given.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you so much. I am again reminded of the first comment you made when I came to you first, which was that we can continue to discuss this topic and it can go on for hours and hours. And in fact, we can invite anyone from the audience as well. And I am sure that people will be able to discuss again on the same lines with different views from different industries. Thank you so much to my co-panelists, and it was a pleasure, eliciting all the wisdom that we could get from all of you. Thank you so much.